Hi guys. I want to start off by saying that I'm sorry that I can't get to all 26 of you in all 6 locations. So I thought I can make up this video for y'all. That way y'all can see my concerns dealing with one specific substance. We are talking about today. Let's see, carbon monoxide in the workplace. And for starters, probably asking what is carbon monoxide. You may not be asking that because you probably know already, but this is kind of safety briefing for y'all to make sure y'all understand exactly what can go on and what can happen with carbon monoxide to yourself and to all your fellow workers in the workplace. So, what is carbon monoxide? Carbon monoxide is a colorless, odorless gas produced as a byproduct of the combustion process of fossil fuels. So, you have your engines in your facilities, you have, let's just say, your boilers, your burners, anything that can actually produce a gas from a combustion process can contain carbon monoxide. And carbon monoxide, the chemical formula is C-O, which is one carbon molecule, one oxygen molecule, and actually is easily replaced in the blood. So when you're exposed to carbon monoxide concentrations, carbon monoxide actually replaces your oxygen in your blood more readily than what oxygen can be replaced in your blood. So it's easy to get this into your bloodstream, even in low concentrations. But see, the lethal concentration of it is actually 1,807 parts per million, which is a pretty high concentration, but at the same token, it can get very high very fast if you're not careful. The permissible exposure limit, which is actually a legal limit in the United States for exposure of an employee to a chemical or physical agent such as loud noise. So the permissible exposure limit, which is set by OSHA, is actually 50 parts per million in the workplace. And I'm guessing that would be without a respirator. So if you have a respirator on, certain areas do have higher concentrations of carbon monoxide, which would require you to wear a respirator. So the permissible exposure limit without any forms of PPE or anything like that, that would be 50 parts per million. And the same goes for the recommended exposure level, which is actually set by the United States National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health. And that is actually the limit that has been recommended by them. And the threshold limit value is actually a chemical. It's the threshold limit of a chemical substance and is the level to which is believed the worker can be exposed to day after day for working lifetime without adverse health effects. So you can work day after day in a threshold value of 25 parts per million without having any adverse health effects. And the main sources, like I said, the main sources of carbon monoxide could be furnaces, boilers, and engines. Which the engines are not to be confused with electric motors. The electric motors aren't going to put out a carbon monoxide because they don't combust. Let's see, carbon monoxide poisoning. Many of you may be familiar with carbon monoxide poisoning from let's just say, cars. Maybe you've heard of somebody getting carbon monoxide poisoning and dying from them locking themselves in their cars for an extended period of time, and the carbon monoxide got inside the car without proper ventilation. So it actually is very lethal to the human body in high concentrations. And like I said, it's very poisonous, and the most common method of carbon monoxide into the body is inhalation. Well, when inhaled, the carbon monoxide replaces the body's red blood cells. So the more and more you breathe it in, the more carbon monoxide is taking place of the oxygen in the inside of your body. So that's actually very poisonous to you, and the more that's intaken into your body, the higher the effects, the adverse effects. And see, moderate exposure of carbon monoxide can result in dizziness, headache, nausea, cardiovascular effects, impaired vision, and decreased brain function. That's only moderate, and that could be over a high concentration over a short period of time, or a moderate concentration over a little bit longer period of time. severe overexposure, which is a high concentration, very high concentration over a short period of time, or a high concentration over an extended period of time. That can actually be fatal, very fatal. So, how do we minimize the carbon monoxide risk? Well, just for starters, you keep combustion equipment in well ventilated environments. If possible, like say your generators, your portable engines, your cars, keep it outdoors if possible, as far away from indoors. If equipment is indoors, keep it as ventilated as possible, as you possibly can to minimize all risks, and wear proper respirator if it's over 25 parts per million. Combustion equipment next to buildings should be managed very carefully, and use temporary ventilation methods such as fans blowing air from the inside to outside to control short-term levels of high carbon monoxide concentration. So this just about wraps up my presentation for y'all today. Hope y'all can discuss it and come up with some common scenarios of how to mitigate and minimize the risk of carbon monoxide. Thank y'all.